What Remains of Edith Finch is a new narrative game from the developer Giant Sparrow. It puts the player in the position of Edith Finch, a woman whose family has long since passed away, leaving her a strange old home filled with memories. As one explores the abandoned home, they learn the different stories of her family to learn where she came from. We'll gloss over the gameplay for the most part because the game is a walking simulator. The player just moves through the environment exploring different objects. It is to be noted, however, that formula is played with significantly in each of the memories. The story of one family member may have you play as a cat, where another will see the player flying a kite. These are short interludes from the main gameplay of walking from place to place, and were a rather nice change of pace when they occurred. Of course, like a narrative game would imply, the focus of this piece is the various stories. As the Steam page states, the whole of the game is a tragic tale of a family surrounded by death. Each member, in their own way, becomes so engrossed in stories that they lose themselves. The narratives touch on mental illness, the power of grief, and family relationships. Each of the individual stories is tied together by the exploration that the player does throughout the house. Each memory could be considered a level, with the house being something of a hub world. The first thing that needs to be discussed is the method of storytelling. Most of the story is told through dialogue that is accompanied by words on the screen. On the one hand, this was a nice way of conveying the story. It made the world itself fundamental to the story with its visual representation. However, there are two serious issues. One is the camera. For the most part, the game plays like a standard first-person experience, with the player controlling vision and movement. However, when the dialogue is occurring, the player is not allowed to look away from the majority of the text, and if they are not already looking at the text, their vision is pulled to it. By forcing the player's camera to focus on the narrative text, the game created numerous frustrating moments as I moved to explore one area, only to have the controls pulled away from me to look at the text. The other issue is in the narrative itself. Edith Finch often suffered from the problem of telling the player instead of showing the player. This is an old narrative issue. Consider that one memory is as simple as a boy swinging on a swing. The scene itself was very interesting, but the entire, probably 10-minute scene was dialogue of why the child was swinging. It was an interesting backstory for sure, but boring and, quite frankly, somewhat lazy game design. Even just snippets of that backstory as gameplay would have been quite interesting to the player and have given the player a far greater understanding of that character. Moments of telling occur all throughout the game. Despite these issues, I find the stories engaging, and the game kept me to the end. Edith Finch might be understood as a collection of modern fables, small stories with a meaning behind each of them. Tied together, they show the power of storytelling and the dangers of an overactive fear of the past. It is certainly a powerful narrative experience. In terms of the aesthetics, they're okay. I was not blown away by any of the visuals, but nothing detracted from the game. Each of the rooms was immaculately created to express the personality of the people who lived there. It would have been nice to see more interaction in the environment in general, but the visual layout was certainly masterful. What Remains of Edith Finch is a strong narrative experience. Some of the mechanics might detract a bit from it, but that does not stop it from being a powerful story. It is only a couple of hours in length, but those couple of hours are definitely worth the price. This is a game that you should certainly pick up if you are at all interested. With that, thanks for watching, and of course, as always, enjoy the rest of your day.